Perfect. And we're live. We don't have anyone in the chat at this current time, but that's okay. We might as well just get started. So anybody that comes in, we can just go as we please. And then, of course, anybody that watches this after the fact. So with thanks to Mickey over at Creative Edge Publicity, we have the pleasure of getting to speak with Liz Butcher, who's all the way in Australia.
Yeah. Hi.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
Good.
How about yourself?
Good. You're in the future. Can you tell us if we can expect anything exciting to come up?
No, sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's just more of the same.
Yeah, exactly. Except for you probably have some beautiful weather going on over there right now.
It's actually nice and sunny today. It's winter here, so it's cold, which is great. I love the cold, but at least it's sunny.
True.
So
that's true. I always forget that we're just entering into our summer here, and you're the complete opposite. I'm used to us having snow, like 6 feet of snow for like 6 to 8 months, it feels like.
That would be wonderful. I would love that.
You can have it if you'd like. We do have Linda that just popped into the chat, Linda's World of Books. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining us. She's a sweet, very, very good friend of mine, an absolute bestie, and I love having her around. So today we have Liz Butcher, as I mentioned. She's the author of books such as After Dark, which came out in 2018. We've got Fate's Fury, which was 2019. Larrow Manor, which was in 2020, and Never Never 2021. And you do have a couple pieces that you're currently working on as well. That's very exciting.
Yeah, my first series, which is new because all my work's been standalone. So it's a bit of a challenge to switch your thinking to a series, and then another novel that I'm working on as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Busy. Are we okay to say the titles, or are they kind of hush-hush right now?
I haven't actually come up with a title yet for the series. So the main character's name is Luna Zimmer. So it's going to be a Luna Zimmer novel, but I just haven't come up with a title yet. You know how sometimes they come to you sort of straight away, and other times it's elusive and you can't find it. So that's where I'm at with that one. Can't decide. But so far the working title for next novel is called Sunrise. That may change, but that's where it's been for about sort of the past few months. So looks like it might stick.
Well, that's really exciting. I was reading that, and I do like that title. And for the series that you're writing, that's a paranormal thriller series, is that?
Yeah, it will be. So she's going to be a paranormal investigator. She's going to sort of launch a new venture, but without giving too much away, she is trying to find some answers. So she lost her family in a plane crash when she was a teenager, and she's starting to have visions, and she believes that there was something on the plane with them that caused the plane to crash, and that something's after her. So the whole reason she starts this venture is to try and find answers to what's really happening and who she really is. So it's a little bit quirky. She's a real hot mess, which I love. It's a really cool, really cool character. Completely, a complete mess. And then she's got her best mate, Freddie. He's gay, but he's also absolutely hilarious. And then there's a bit of a love interest, love tangle there as well. So should keep me busy for a few books anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it sounds like it. It sounds awesome. And I like the hot mess. It's kind of, it's relatable, right? Because life is not easy. Yeah. We're all a bit of a hot mess.
That's it. And she's got all this money and this gorgeous apartment, and just has no idea what she's doing. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah.
I'm excited for that. We've got Heidi in the chat that says she's excited for the series. I'm assuming Heidi knows who you are. I'm going to say thanks to James here. Thank you. It's one of my favorites. And we have Kelly from Hooked on Books that has jumped in here. Happy Friday. Well, actually, for
Saturday.
Liz, it's Saturday because she's 16 hours ahead. Yeah. She's in the future. I was trying to see if there was anything we can expect coming up in the next few hours, and she said no, unfortunately, no exciting events that are happening. Well, that is very, very exciting. Yes, and Linda says, always love a hot mess. It's very relatable. It makes it fun. That book sounds great, and I love, like, the paranormal aspects of everything, because we love all of that dark stuff here on the channel, which and you've actually got your pieces in a lot of anthologies as well. There's a huge list of them.
Yeah. It was kind of a way to kind of build up my confidence when I first started writing, because when I had the idea for Fate's Fury, I hadn't written anything really since school. And at uni, obviously, you're writing sort of, papers and things like that. So I hadn't written anything fiction for a really long time, and just didn't think that I could pull off a novel. And so I started reaching out on Facebook and stuff, and making friends with other writers, and got invited to do a submission for one of the anthologies. And so, my first short story I wrote was accepted, which was so exciting.
That is so exciting. Your first one that you submitted.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I still remember I was at my day job and I got the email at my lunch break, and I had this like massive little dance because I was just so excited. And so I kind of kept doing that because I found it was a really good way to, I guess, hone my skills while I was working on the novel. So highly recommend them to anyone, especially if you're starting out. They're a really great way to get your creative juices flowing, but also a good way to learn how to write concisely as well, because you've got to cram a whole story into a specific word count. And I found that really useful when it came to writing a novel, to make sure you don't sort of waffle on and go off on tangents. So that's definitely a tool that I've taken on board with me.
That would not be easy. I would be the exact opposite. I tell you, my books would be like these big, huge, massive tomes, because I wouldn't know when to stop. Writing a novel, I always say writing a novel itself would be hard enough to put all this entertainment and excitement for the reader. But I couldn't imagine like a short story, a novella, a novelette. That would be even twice as hard, because like you said, you're trying to pack in all this excitement into one short story, and you really want to grasp the reader and give them a little bit of closure of some sort at the end all at once. And it's got to be incredibly hard. Do you prefer short stories over novels, or do you have a favorite that you like to write?
I think now I probably prefer writing novels. I did find when I started my second novel, which was LaRue Manor, I was kind of struggling because I'd done so many short stories that I was kind of like, hang on, you've got to pad this character out. You've got to pad this scene out, because I was so used to writing concisely that when it came to taking on another novel, I guess with short stories, you don't really have the room to go too in depth with characters and locations. So I kind of had to take a step back and do a bit of extra work. But now I love that. I love the research side of doing a novel, and each novel has its own like exercise book or folder, and I get pictures off Pinterest and put all this stuff together, probably far more than I actually really need for the story, because I'm a nerd like that. But yeah, so now I've sort of gone the other side, and I actually enjoy all the pre-work that goes into a novel that you don't really do with a short story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That kind of goes into one of the questions that I have here. What your favorite part or parts is of the publishing process, aside from writing the story, is, I know some authors really like the editing process. Some really like to take part in like the cover art, that sort of thing. Do you have a favorite or a couple favorites?
Yeah, I'm a nerd. It's the editing. I love editing. And I
really?
I just love it. So I'll edit myself, and then I send it off to my actual editor. And I love getting the feedback, and I love she's really challenging. So I love it when she'll like highlight a section. She's like, you can write better than this, like fix this. And she's very constructive, but at the same time, then when she highlights something, she's like, I love this. You kind of feel like you've earned it.
Yes.
It's not a hollow compliment. So it might have like 10 criticisms and then like one compliment. You're like, yes. So I actually love all that process. And then probably the most challenging is probably the cover art, because my husband does all my covers for me.
Really?
Which is a huge bonus, but comes with a lot of butting of heads and sulking and
some good clashing.
Clashing and whatnot. So yeah, it's an interesting process.
Well, that sounds awesome, though, because I was looking at your covers. I haven't had the privilege yet, as of yet, to read any of your work. But of course, as I was researching, and of course, as my friend Linda was helping me research, as I had said in before we jumped in, of course, looking at your books, reading the synopsis, looking at the covers. I mean, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but I mean, we have to get real. We do. It catches your eye. He does a fantastic job. You'll have to send that his way because, yeah, they are very
I will. Yeah, he'll be stoked.
Yeah. I can't wait. I put a whole bunch of them on my list, you know, that never-ending, slowly taking over the world list to get to it.
Yeah, I've got one of those as well.
So did you always want to be a writer, or is it something that just kind of came later on in life?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I used to write a lot in primary school. I guess just because I could. I don't know. I was never like, oh, one day I'm going to be a writer. It just came about really kind of strange. Like I finished school, I went to uni and I was working, and just one day I started having these sort of scenes pop into my head for Fate's Fury. And I was like, oh, no, I can't write a book. Don't be silly. But it wouldn't go away. And so I just thought, well, you know, what have you got to lose? No one has to actually read it. Just give it a shot. And I would literally just put pen to paper and it would all just kind of spill out. So, yeah, I guess there. And then while that was happening, because that took me years to write, I was doing the short stories sort of in between. And so every time I got accepted and published, you get that rush of seeing your work in an actual book. And yeah, I just haven't looked back. It just, yeah, I guess the passion for it just kind of kept growing. And now I sort of wish I'd started sooner rather than wasting all those years doing other things. But yeah, better late than never.
Showing that you can do it. Yeah, absolutely. Better late than never. Priscilla here says, it sounds like Liz and her editor make a great team or a good team and work well together. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Priscilla. Yeah, she's actually a high school English teacher. So she's very pedantic, which is perfect, and loves to go everything with a fine-tooth comb. And it's actually quite funny. I have a laugh sometimes with her comments. You really get that real teacher vibe. Especially when she's criticizing something. It's just that, yeah, I could just see her sitting behind her desk and it makes me laugh. But that's her strength, and that's one of the reasons I love working with her, because, yeah, she's harsh but fair. And when you get a compliment, you know that you've earned it, like a little gold star. So she's awesome.
Love that.
Yeah.
That sounds so nice. She sounds like she does a really good job, and that can't be an easy job to do either. Like you said, being hard but fair. I'm too nervous to go too far to offend or not go hard enough to, you know, really, you know, help adapt that story into what it could be, for sure.
Yeah.
Were you nervous releasing your first piece out into the world for everyone to read?
Yeah, I was. So with the first short story that was published in the anthology, the excitement quickly kind of turned to horror when, you know, people that I knew were like buying the anthology to read it. And I guess it sounds really stupid. As much as I enjoyed writing, I hadn't really thought about the fact that other people would be reading it. It sounds weird, doesn't it? I was just kind of like, oh. And it's really nerve-wracking, especially with people that you know. I prefer people that I don't know to read my work than people I know. It's just weird. But yeah, like, oh, people are going to read it and they're going to judge it. And what if they don't like it? And it's just, it's, I don't know.
Or they
I'm
know
a bit awkward about it. Yeah.
They know you personally, and then, you know, they may be looking at you different.
Exactly. Yeah, especially when you're writing particularly dark stuff, or if you've got a sex scene or something, like, it's just a little, you know.
It's very true. You're safe here. In the dark stuff, you're safe here. All of that stuff we welcome and we love, and we just consume it and devour it. So you're in the safe zone here. I just want to say hi. We've got Fiber Artsy that has popped in. Hello. Happy Friday, except for it's actually Saturday.
Happy Saturday from the future.
Yeah, that's right. From the future. I love that. That's so exciting. And then we do have Jason that popped in here quickly, but he's actually at work. Hush, hush. Jason, your secret's safe with us. I know you don't want to hang out too long, but that's okay. Well, that kind of goes into another question that I have. Is your family and your friends, are they supportive of your writing career, or?
Yeah, it's actually been really quite wonderful. So my poppy, my grandfather, he was my biggest fan. Unfortunately, he passed away 18 months ago, but he made a
Oh
point of
my
reading
goodness.
everything that I wrote. And so never actually dedicated to him for that reason. But a year ago, or just over a year ago, just before COVID hit, actually, I had sort of made the decision to try writing full time. So I ghostwrite as well. And I teed up with my day job to go on a 6 month career break. So
Oh, okay.
essentially, you get 6 months unpaid leave to pursue another avenue. But the silver lining is if it falls through, you still have your job to come back to.
Yes.
So massive safety blanket. I thought, why not? While that opportunity is there, why not just give it a go?
Yeah.
And yeah, so in January, the 6 months was up. I handed in my official resignation after 7.5 years in a corporate job, and I've been writing full time all year. So very exciting. I
That
love
is
it.
very exciting and
Mm,
inspirational, because we don't have those types of things where I am, right, where you can take that leave,
yeah, I hear that a
unless it
lot.
yeah, unless it's like a sick leave. If it's a sick
Mm,
leave and you've got proof of something, you can take something like that. But I mean, the thought of taking that leap, having that silver lining, but taking
mm,
that leap and seeing if you can do it and then having the success come of it. I mean,
yeah,
congratulations. That's
thank
really
you.
exciting.
I mean, it's
And
hard work, and it was sort of stressful. And my husband took a massive leap of faith in me.
mhm.
I mean, we just built a house, so we have a mortgage now, and it's not, it's not like having the corporate job where you get the same income every fortnight. You know exactly what you're working with. Like
Mhm.
some weeks you earn more than others, and he took a massive leap of faith in backing me to do it. Which I'm so grateful for. Uh, and especially with the 6 months when I was on sort of technically on career break, and I sort of ummed and ahed, like, oh, should I just go back to my other job part time? And he's like, no, you were so much happier
Mm.
doing this. Like, we'll make it work. Just keep
Oh,
going. So yeah, without the support, like I wouldn't be able to do it. So, and I'd be back in my corporate job and writing on my lunch breaks and before work and yeah, all the fun stuff.
which isn't easy. And like you said, it makes you
No.
happier, then that's where you
Mm,
should be, right? And I mean, that goes
yeah.
right into that family support. I mean,
Mm,
not only, I often ask that question, and a lot of authors will say, well, some of my family reads my work and some of it doesn't. But I
mm,
mean, that's a huge process too. The support is, do they give you
yeah.
time to write? Are they willing
Yeah.
to back you up and let you chase after your dreams? So that's really exciting. Yeah. I was just going to say,
Yeah.
James said, nice husband. Yeah, absolutely. He's a keeper for sure. and he,
Absolutely.
and he does the covers and everything. So you guys make a fantastic team as well,
Mm.
then, which is really exciting. Well,
Yeah, we
I'm
do.
very
It
happy
it
for
works
you.
well. And we've got a daughter as well, so he helps out. So I usually work on Saturdays as well. So that's sort of daddy and daughter day, and yeah, yeah, support. I couldn't have done it without his support. It's just, I mean, he hasn't read anything that I've written, but I
Mhm.
forgive him because he does support me and he does my covers, so he gets off scot-free for not actually
Yeah,
reading them.
exactly. And then you don't have to be, like embarrassed of anything that
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I couldn't imagine if my husband was reading anything that I wrote, or even jumping into these live shows and stuff. It's like an instant embarrassment. Like, what are you
yeah.
doing?
Shut down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, have you ever come across anybody in your life, family or friend, that isn't supportive? And if so, how have you handled that situation?
um, Not really. I've been really lucky. I mean, not all of my family or friends have read everything. Those who have enjoyed them, so
Mhm.
that's good. But I haven't really, and not to my face anyway. That's not to say
Yeah.
maybe, there's conversations behind my back. I don't know, but to my face, as far as I know, there hasn't been anything derogatory or unsupportive. Um, I guess everyone just sees how much happier I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my last job for 7.5 years, and while I enjoyed the people that I worked with and I enjoyed, talking to people, the job itself, just I was uninspired, and I guess it just helped me hone in more on writing. That's what I wanted to do. It took 5 years, but I eventually did get to this place where I sort of am now. And like I said, I got my boss was super supportive. He sort of basically, when I applied for the leave, he's just like, I don't want to see you back here. Like, this is what you want to do. You make this work.
Oh.
And like, he still makes jokes where he's like, oh, I'm glad I kicked you out the door, like all this kind of stuff. So I've had support all around, which I'm so grateful for, because I think you can take it for granted. I think it's important to let people know that you appreciate what they're doing, especially when it means that you get to do what makes you so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love to hear that you've had so much support, because when you don't
Yeah.
hear authors getting the support, it's heartbreaking, right? To see them
Yeah.
chase their dreams and they're so happy, and there's sometimes that one person or that a couple people that just aren't there for you,
Yeah.
which, well, I'm glad that everyone's been very supportive, especially if you are writing, in like the darker genres or anything like that. What really like pulled you into writing, like the darker genres or having darker elements or content in your books?
Not sure. I guess, I don't know, maybe I was just a really creepy kid. Like, I've always been fascinated with sort of the paranormal, and like even from a really young age, I recall getting books out from the library on hauntings, and I remember having nightmares because I'd read a book in a paranormal book about spontaneous human combustion. So like I'd have these fascinations, and I'd go read about them and then give myself nightmares and not be able to sleep. And like, it was just this vicious cycle, but I loved it. I couldn't stop. It was talking, like 7, 8 years old. And then discovered Stephen King when I was 10, read my first Stephen King book. I don't know what it is. It's maybe I just enjoy being scared. So I don't know. I'm just strange like that. So I guess when I started writing, that's kind of just where my stories sort of naturally aligned. Like, I didn't set out and kind of go, what genre am I going to write in? And sort of most of them are a bit of a mishmash anyway. So like Fate's Fury, it was the idea that came about. It's got horror elements in it. But it's very heavily like mythology based, sort of urban fantasy. LaRue Manor is probably the only one I've written that I would say is straight out horror. But everything I write just ends up dark. I can't help it. I think if I tried to write something like, I don't know, like a romance, it'd end up being dark somehow. Like there'd be someone dying, or I don't know, doing something. It's just
some type of bad.
Yeah, there'd be something bad, something terrible around the corner. I can't help myself.
Best answer ever. I don't know. I guess I was just a creepy kid. And your statement about how you just must, as a kid, you just like to be scared. That's so true. I find all kids are like that. If I think back to like my memories, we would be playing like Bloody Mary in the bathroom, or like get out the Ouija board, or we'd be telling ghost stories and stuff to try to scare us when we're having a big slumber party. So I think all kids just like to be scared. We're all weird like that. But some of us, it leaves us as we get older, and some of us, it sticks for a lifetime.
That's it. It's so true. And I remember an ex of mine used to say to me, like, why do you go and watch these horror movies if it's going to scare you? I'm like, I don't know. I like them. He thought it was so strange, because he was just like, okay, you want to sleep with the light on, but you're a grown ass woman, and why do it to yourself? Like, because it's fun.
It is fun, and I find that movies, TV shows can bother me more than reading. I think it's because your brain, you're not seeing it on the screen, and your brain, when you're reading it, can really like function through it. I don't know.
That's it. Yeah.
I'll be sitting there with a blanket up, underneath underneath my eyes. But you're right. I still love it, and I still do it, and we can't help it, right?
Exactly.
Thanks for jumping in here, Josh. You're not late.
Hi, Josh.
It's not that late. Very exciting. Okay, so you also have a background. You have a BA in psychology, which is very exciting. I find that a huge interest of mine, never went to school for it. My background is insurance. And speaking of movies or TV shows, when I watch a movie or when I watch a TV show, I don't look at it the same way as everyone else or as most people. Because, I'm picking out, like, would that be covered under insurance? That would be covered, right?
Oh my God. It is so funny that you say that, because that was my day job for 7.5 years. I was a claims consultant for an insurance company.
Oh,
so
well, then we
totally
have
get it.
we have a
that's so bizarre.
a lot in common then. Yeah, I just kind of fell into it. I don't do it anymore. I've moved on to different things. But I was wondering if your background in psychology, does that affect your writing style in any way, whether it's positive or negative? Do you look at things differently while you're writing?
I think it definitely helps, especially when it comes to developing characters. I think I get that because of the training, I can get that really good insight into character motivation and what they would realistically choose to do given their personality and things like that. So I think it's definitely a bonus as far as writing's concerned. And because you just have that different perspective of motivation and what causes certain behaviors and piecing it all together. And especially I love throwing twists in my story, so it really helps with that too, because you're able to I guess predict what's going to happen, so you can kind of back shadow it with their behavior in a way that I guess maybe other writers don't really have that insight, I guess. So it's a little handy to have, even though I'm not practicing psychology. I'm still using my degree to some extent. So
oh, absolutely, I agree, because I mean, characters are a huge thing. I mean, there's so many character driven readers in here, one of them being Linda, if you're still in here. Characters can really put the whole story together, piece it together just so. And I mean, you have to connect with something in the book, whether it's a certain part of the storyline or a certain character. But I do love good characters. And if you can make them realistic and have like those real life qualities about them, absolutely. Do you think Josh said hi to us.
Hi, Josh.
I'm ignoring the chat here. James actually said that it's opposite for him. Books bother him more than shows, which is really interesting to hear. I don't know if I've ever had anyone come across and say that.
I think if the book bothers you more than the movie, I think it just shows that you've got a really great imagination, because your mind just takes you there where you don't have to rely on the movie to take you there. So I think if a book messes you up more, it means you've got it all up here. Maybe you should be a writer. Put it to good use.
You know what? That's a really good point. And he actually plays guitar. And
cool.
he, creates this fantastic music. So, you know what? Maybe it just shows that you guys are artsy in some way and have some type of creative side, whether it's writing or music. That's really exciting. Do you think it's more important to have like a mind-blowing plot to the story, or to have these incredible developed characters, or that perfect balance of each?
I think it needs to be a balance, because if you've got a mind-blowing plot, if the characters are flat, it's going to be boring. And then vice versa, if you've got great characters but no plot, what are they doing? So I think it's got to be perfectly balanced, or else you need to go back and rework it.
Polish it up a bit. No, I agree. I love that perfect balance. Absolutely. Linda here says, yes, connecting to a character or characters make her reading experience a lot better. Yes, she is definitely a character driven. So as soon as I hear somebody is got these like incredible characters, or I've read something, I go to her and I suggest it right away, because I know that she'll go and pick it up. Maybe we'll have to do some buddy reading of her work, of Liz's work here, Linda, when we get around to it, when we have a chance.
Please do.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes here, make sure I haven't missed anything. What is the largest obstacle that you faced during your author career?
Probably writing my first book, which was Fate's Fury. So because I didn't know what I was doing, and I just it was a very sporadic process. It took years to actually finish it. And I sort of got to a point where I hit writer's block for like probably a year. I'd gotten to a certain point, and then I knew where it had to go and then how the rest of the book was going to go and how it was going to end. But I had this section in the middle that it's just a big black hole, and I had no idea how to cross it. And I even toyed with the idea of maybe split it in two and then have book one and book two. But then I was like, that's just lazy. Like, don't be shit about it. Put your head down and think about it. And it took ages. And then, I don't know, one day it kind of came to me, and it was painful, and I pushed through it, and I sort of got there. But it was quite depressing because, like, being my first book, it was like, well, maybe I am wasting my time, and all the self-doubt, and, for every month that passed where I hadn't written anything on it, you just kind of feel like you're failing. And even though I was writing the short stories in the interim and having success with those, I was like, well, maybe that's where I've peaked. With short stories, maybe I'm not a novel writer. But I'm glad I stuck with it, because then when you cross the black hole and you finish the rest of the book and you're right at the end, like, it was the most exciting feeling. So I was glad I did push through. But then a couple of years ago, I did the James Patterson masterclass, and he said something that's just really stuck with me. And there's no such thing as writer's block. If you're stuck, it means you either haven't researched enough or you haven't plotted enough. And so I've really taken that on board. And so whenever I get stuck now, I think, no, it's not writer's block. Go back and either do more research or plot it out. Because I think just by saying writer's block, your brain shuts down, because it's like, writer's block. So you kind of talk yourself into that sort of stalemate. So yeah, his advice, has helped me so much, just acknowledging that there's no such thing as writer's block. You just need to do more work. So
no, absolutely. You kind of just get into your own head.
That's
fantastic. I've never even thought of that. I've never heard of that, but I mean, I'm not a writer myself, but I mean, that completely makes sense. If you do find yourself, aside from like doing more research or to sitting down and plotting it out more, do you find that, like going for a walk is something to help clear your head, or, like looking at some pictures? Is there anything that gets the creative juices flowing for you when you're stuck there?
Yeah, exercise is definitely a great one. Also, I'm a big knitter. I can't sit and do nothing. I'm just one of those people that it stresses me out not doing something. But I find what's the word I'm looking for? I guess just the rhythm of knitting kind of gets you into almost like a meditative sort of state. And I find when I'm just focusing on the stitches and nothing else, it's quite often when my mind's clear and the sort of solution will pop through. But then I'm like, oh crap, I can't write it down. I've got to finish this row. Like, hold on to the thought. Don't lose it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Do you have that like notepad and that pencil beside your bed if you wake up in the middle of the night and think of something or dream of something?
I did used to, but then I often found I couldn't read my own writing come the next day, and they'd be like, damn it, I swear that was such a good idea. So now I've just got my phone beside my bed, and I'll just open up a note, and even if there's typos, I can generally figure out what the word was supposed to be while I was half asleep, as opposed to the handwriting, which was just tragic. So yeah, I've got all these notes in my phone, and then I have a box full of index cards. Each index card is an idea, so either come from a dream or something. So then when I'm actually awake and can hold a pen, I will write it out neatly on my card and file it away.
No, that's smart. Absolutely. And having the autocorrect on the phone, like you said, it probably would make a little more sense. I couldn't imagine waking up and writing something while you're half asleep. It would be mumbo jumbo for sure.
Yeah.
Are any of your characters based on, like any of like real life people in your life? Anybody that you come across day to day, or is it just random people that you create?
Just random people. Yeah, it's sounds a little odd, especially coming from a psychology background, but it's like you just got these voices in your head of just these new people that you kind of meet that want to come out into the world. And as a writer, you can get away with saying that and no one looks at you strangely. But it's they just kind of create themselves for the most part. And I guess what I found really interesting was with Fate's Fury, my main character was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it never sort of crossed my mind that he wasn't a girl. And I had people saying, what made you write a male character? And I was kind of like, well, I don't know, because he said hi and he was a guy. Like, it's just, didn't know how to sort of explain it. I just, it wasn't a conscious decision. I'm going to write a male main character for my first novel. It was just, he popped up and said hello, and that's who he was. And I sound like a crazy person, but I don't know how else to explain it. They just kind of, pop up.
No, it doesn't sound crazy to me at all. Have you ever had like a battle in your head with one of your characters back and forth, like a war between what you want the character to do, but the character's just going in a different direction for you?
Yeah, the first time it happened was with Fate's Fury. So even though my main character was a guy, he's got his best friend and his best friend's sister, who's also his love interest. So there's the sort of the three of them that have grown up together. And so the main character is Jonah, and his best mate is Tristan. And Tristan was kind of the kind of comic relief in the story. It was quite often doing stupid things, and there's a particular scene that was really hard to write. I don't want to throw any spoilers out there. And there was literally, I was writing this particular lead up to it, and it was like he was in my head going, "No, I wouldn't do that." And I was kind of like, "Oh," and it sort of kind of freaked me out a little bit because I was like, "Actually, no, he wouldn't do it like that. He would do it a different way." And it was kind of strange, but I rewrote it, so yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. It's true. You know, I hear this often that, they have these battles and the characters speak to you, and it's like their real life. You have these conversations with them.
And when I went through that period of the sort of blackout, the writer's block,
mm-hmm.
I missed them, which was strange. Hi, Dana. And that was a weird sensation as well, because you kind of had like withdrawals because you weren't sort of working with them in their world, and it was kind of like, hey, come back and finish our story. It was just weird.
Don't leave us alone. It becomes like your family, your babies.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. So we've got Rob that's popped in here as well.
Hi, Rob.
And we've got Spooky Noodles that's popped in.
Hi.
And then Dana had said, "This is why she's not an author. My mind is not this amazing." I agree. I don't
know if I'd say amazing. It's quirky.
Oh, but that's what makes it fun. Even just getting to sit here and chat with you, it just makes me want to go and read your work that much more, because just talking to you, I can listen to you talk forever, which means I know that you're going to be a fantastic storyteller. So I got to get into your work now. I agree, Dana. I like to talk with the talent. I like to feature the talent. I will not ever be the talent. If any of you guys have any questions, go ahead. Feel free to pop them into the comments.
Absolutely.
We've got the spotlight on Liz. We're, having to throw things out left and right, seeing how quick she is.
Don't put me on the spot. No, it's fine. Right. I've had my coffee. I'm good.
Yeah, you know what? That's smart thinking. Although I was thinking, if I have a coffee during the live, I may not sleep tonight.
No. See, if it was the other way around and it was my nighttime, I'd be having a glass of wine or something. But given that it's morning, it's probably not appropriate for me to be sitting here drinking while I'm having my interview.
Nobody would know. They think that you're at the same time as us. It's 5:00 somewhere. Actually, it's 7:30 somewhere. So
totally appropriate.
Yeah, that's right. That's too funny. Do you have a favorite piece of yours? Now, this is a hard question because I know so many people say, I can't pick one, or it's the one that I'm working on. But is there something that really just speaks to you?
That is a tricky question. It probably would be Fate's Fury, I think, just because it was my debut novel, and it took years, and I learned so much during the process of writing it. Not just about writing better and developing characters and a plot, but about myself and what I can actually push myself through, and what I'm capable of, and that I love to write. So I think Fate Siri would be my favorite piece, just for all those reasons. And because of the fact it just literally just randomly popped in my head one day and wouldn't go away till I started writing it. And I think without that, I would probably still be in, my old day job. So I don't know where it came from, and I'm so grateful to the universe for pushing it into my head. But yeah, that would be my favorite, I think.
You have to inspire me. Just talking to you, you'll have to inspire me to leave my day job and to go after my dream like you did. I don't know. I'll have to see if the husband's as supportive on my side. That's too funny. I'm sorry. The comments are going up quick now. Now I'm trying to keep up with them so we don't miss anything. Yes, we do have a couple authors in here. Spooky Needles did said he is an author, but he highly doubts that their minds are amazing. I beg to differ. As an avid reader, I'm putting that up there. I beg to differ because you guys give us crazy bookworms all the delicious stories to fall into, escape from reality, and have wild and crazy fun in these books. So
yeah.
I beg to differ for sure. And then we did have a question here, and I'm sorry, I've got to go up and find it. There it is. And it was from Spooky Noodles as well. I don't know if this was asked, but who are 3 authors that inspired you?
Oh, so Stephen King, obviously, hands down. I loved reading Anne Rice a lot as well, just the way she visually creates things I love. And then it's a little bit off the beaten track, but my favorite book as a child was called The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, and that's probably the first book that I ever fell in love with. So it always made me really kind of sad and want to cry. But I think even from a young age, I just really appreciated that someone's words can make you feel that way. So that's always sort of been an inspiration and a favorite. Very different, obviously, to Stephen King and Anne Rice, but there you have it.
Well, that kind of answers Dana's question as well, because she said that she's not sure if you answered this, but do you have a go-to favorite book? Do you have another one that's kind of come around, now that you've gotten into your adulthood, or?
I'm a sucker for classics. So The Great Gatsby, love that to pieces. The Portrait of Dorian Gray, Wuthering Heights, like all those old ones. I could read all of those till the cows come home. I don't tend to reread, like, I guess, modern fiction repeatedly. Don't know why that is. That's a bit strange, isn't it? I can read a classic over and over again, but nothing modern. I don't know, but yeah, I find the classics. I always go to them if I'm in a bit of a reading slump or want some downtime, or I guess because they're just different types of writing. They wrote differently, I find, back then. So yeah, they'd be my go-tos.
So here's a hard question for you then. If you were to rewrite any classic, doesn't have to be a horror classic, and put your own dark spin on it, which one would you choose?
Well, actually, I've already kind of done that. So Never Never is Peter Pan sort of story. And I took that and made it very dark, and made it so instead of, I don't know if you are familiar with Peter Pan, but you've got the Darling siblings, so Wendy and her 2 brothers, they're all quite young, and then Peter Pan takes them to Neverland. And I don't know, I was just sitting there one day, I think I was actually reading Peter Pan, like the Disney version, to my daughter, and it just kind of occurred to me that having an entity come into your children's bedroom in the middle of the night and whisk them away is really freaking scary.
It is.
Like, I don't know why all of a sudden it just occurred to me that's creepy as hell. Like,
and them taking them away, take the children away.
It's like, now that I'm a mother, I'm kind of like, Peter Pan is horrible. And so then I had the idea of, writing a modern twist on Peter Pan. So mine is set in the here and now. And Wendy Darling is all grown up. She's in her 30s. She's a detective. still haunted by the trauma of her abduction at the hands of this creature she only recalls as Pan when she was 15. And then a local girl vanishes from her room in the middle of the night, very much like she recalls happening to her. And so she wants to work the case. Meanwhile, all this stuff is happening with her family, all these secrets coming out of the closet. And then it's too late. She realizes it's actually a trap. So Pan is back for her, and goes from there. So it's very dark and twisted and nothing like the original. But there's my retelling of what I would do if I had to
Really, I'm
retell
glad
an
you
old
said
classic.
that. While I was reading through the synopsis, I was thinking, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this definitely seems like the children's book, Peter Pan redone. But I didn't want to assume, right? That's really, we like dark, we like twisted. Anyone that watches my channel, so and we do like retellings as well. So that's really exciting. Well, you're adding to my list like crazy. Get my
It's strange because I always kind of shied away from a retelling because I kind of thought if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And I've got so many original ideas, but yeah, that one I just couldn't let go. I was so super keen to do a dark Peter Pan, I guess. Yeah, I don't think I'd do another retelling. But at least now I can say I've tried it. So
well,
people seem to like it.
I could be wrong, but I think like children classics are a little bit easier too because you can make it into an adult version.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah. Where, like if you've got like Wuthering Heights or, anything like that, it's a little harder because even like Frankenstein or Dracula, they are those true classics. And, like Mary Shelley did a fantastic job trying to recreate that, and doing it justice would be really hard.
That's it.
Yeah.
You deviate too much from the core of a story like that, I think, by trying to do a retelling. Yeah.
Exactly. I've read a couple of retellings, and they're okay. But some of them are like I'm sorry, they're awful. And I'm thinking, why did you do this to the classic? But yes, I do believe like those, even like Beauty and the Beast and stuff like that, you can put that dark twist on it and make it more of an adult version. And it seems to work for whatever reason. So James has a question for you here that says, his favorite question is, how much of the story is already completed in your mind before you put pen to paper?
The majority of it. So that's something that I've learned progressively over the course of each book is I plan out 90% of the story before I actually start writing it. But in saying that, it's a fluid plot. So I'm very open to things coming into my head as I write. So it's not rigid. And you're always writing like, oh, plot twist, and a new idea will sort of crop up. But the majority of the outline is all set, and I know how it's going to end and everything before I put the pen to paper. So yeah.
Well, that's really neat to know. And Dana says that she feels like she's not smart enough to be reading a classic. They are a little bit harder to digest and to take in because they were written so different. But anyone can do it.
And the language is a little bit different. As well. But if you can kind of just ignore that, they're great stories. Absolutely fantastic. Or if the reading of it is intimidating, watch a movie of it. Like Great Expectations is another favorite of mine, and I actually saw, I think it was on Netflix a little while back. It was on there, and Gillian Anderson, who I've loved since the X-Files days, played Miss Havisham, and I was like, I can't imagine her doing that, but she was so good because she's one of my favorite characters of all time because she's just so bitter and twisted and being the puppeteer pulling everyone's strings. And yeah, it's weird seeing an actress that you love playing a character that you love, and they're so completely different. Like, it's either going to be horrible or it's going to be fantastic, and it was fantastic. So if you don't want to read the classics, find a movie or a show, and that way you still get the best part of the story without all the funny words.
Sorry, catching up. People are just
no, you're right.
going through these comments, I tell you. And of course, we're on our phones, right? So I'm trying not to
Yeah,
get my
scrolling up
finger
and
too
down.
much in the screen. Oh, that's too funny. I know Spooky had put a comment in here that he would turn Frankenstein into a gritty detective horror story. You could give it a try. See if you can make it work. Some of those, I tell you, they're untouchable. They're hard to do. That's for sure.
Well, if you like a challenge, Frankenstein would be the one to do.
Frankenstein would. That's my favorite like horror classic is Frankenstein. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I was more of a Dracula girl, the
Were
original
you?
Bram Stoker. Yeah.
That was
I think because I like the history of it about how it was based on Vlad the Impaler, and I liked the the gorish history that surrounded the original person that inspired it. So I think that's where I sort of came, because I'm a nerd and I love history. So I kind of drew me in with the history before I read the story, and then there you have it.
No, I love that. And I agree. The history, everything. Would you ever attempt to write outside of your go-to genre or without those dark elements? Or is it just, it automatically, like you said, if you were to try to do a romance, it would automatically sneak its way in there somehow?
Yeah, well, with the ghostwriting, I do write things beyond like my genre. And I do have to be really mindful that I'm writing for someone else and can't put scary stuff in. But for my own writing, I mean, like I said, most of my books, aside from LaRue Manor, are sort of genre crossovers anyway. And I think that's where I'm comfortable. So I can have an element of romance, but there's got to be, horror and scares as well. I don't think I could do a flat out romance like we were saying before, like unless someone's going to die. Like it's just, there's just going to be something a bit more interesting in it for me, I think. But I don't know. I guess, I mean, I'd give it a go. I just don't know whether it'd be any good. I think my strength lies in the dark and creepy and those twists at the end. So I'm not a nice, clean, the end kind of person. My books don't end cleanly. So sorry.
We love that too. No, that's okay. Spoiler alert, if you're going to read any of Liz's work, you're going to be traumatized at some point.
Pretty much. I leave. And it's quite funny because a lot of readers have come out and said, oh, for all of my books, when are you going to write the next one? And I'd never had any intention of making any of them more than just a standalone. But I guess the way I end my stories kind of does leave them potentially open to revisit and follow up later on. And that wasn't on purpose, but I just, I don't like clean endings. So life's not clean. Things don't really go the end and then you close it and it's done. It's kind of like, well, this is the end of this section, I guess, really, but it's not really the end of their story. So yeah,
it's not all rainbows and unicorns. And we're gonna experience some real traumatizing dark stuff throughout life, whether it be a simple thing as losing a job, money scares, to losing a family member, to there's so much stuff. Even, I mean, think about COVID. I mean, this has just been terrifying for so many people because, I mean, as we went on and learned more about it, it was okay. But at the beginning, everyone's just kind of like, what to expect, what's going to happen, right? And now we're all coming out of it, and now we've experienced it.
Exactly.
And we're a little more stronger. Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that dark, gritty, dark ending, that brutal, blunt. Because like you said, life is not all, rainbows and fluff.
And I think too, when, especially writing darker type fiction, you put your characters through a lot. And to me, it just doesn't really kind of make sense to have a happy ending because they've been through too much and so much has changed that I guess maybe it's a happier ending, but not a happy ending. So yeah, because I just think it's just life, and maybe that's where the psych degree sort of comes back in. But you can't go through all these traumatic events and be okay when it comes time to end the story. There's got to be side effects to that trauma. So and like I had someone say to me when they read Fate's Fury and got to the end, they're like, holy crap, Liz, I feel like you just slapped me in the face. I was like, oh, sorry.
That's
because
a
they
huge
just weren't
compliment.
expecting it, and they're just like, "What the hell?" And so, to me, that was the best compliment, because it wasn't the end. It was like, there you go.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I love that you're getting those comments from your readers too, because then you know that what you've written, you're leading or leaving all of those emotions, everything that you wanted to portray to the reader is happening. And they're not going to forget. These books are going to stick with them. These characters are going to stick with them.
Yeah, I'd rather an ending that's gonna resonate with people, and they'll still be thinking about months down the track, rather than be like, oh, that was a good ending, close the book, and then you can forget about it because it's all nice and resolved and happy. So I don't know. I just, again, it wasn't something that I consciously set out to do. That just seems to be how I write. But I like messing with people, and so it's just leave it how it is.
You've got me thinking. You are so true. I've read contemporaries or those light, fluffy reads. I read a little bit of everything. But you're right. You close the book, you set it down, you're done. Those characters don't necessarily linger with you. The story, there isn't a piece of it that traumatized you enough for you to think about it over and over again. But yeah, anything with those dark elements or dark content, definitely it when you're challenging your characters or there's a challenging storyline, it sticks with you. That's I never even thought of that, but you're very right. Well, now I know why I'm kind of addicted and pulled into, the dark side of reading for sure.
That's it.
Well, Heidi said that she's looking forward to reading Le Roman
because
because
thank
she
you
just
so much,
ordered
Heidi.
it.
I really appreciate the support. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, I'm right on board. I'm going to have to go. I was searching through like Amazon and stuff, and I'm like, well, which one? I can't buy all of them all at once. Maybe I'll have to just wait till I can, afford to just do one big shopping spree. Just do a Liz Butcher huge massive buy.
Please do.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody that's got any like book clubs or anything like that, you like the dark elements, I mean, maybe you want to check out some of Liz's work, get everyone to buy. And
I think you do. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever we can do to get everyone reading Liz's work.
Isn't that the dream?
Yeah, absolutely. If you had any of your pieces adapted into film, is there one that you would pick or that would be just perfect for that?
Oh, all of them? Is that selfish? No.
No,
I think probably Fate's Fury again, because it was my first, but also there's a lot of Australia in Fate's Fury. A lot of our natural, beautiful locations feature in the book. So I think that would be kind of a cool one to make into a movie, because I think it would kind of highlight how beautiful, the country is in a dark and twisted, creepy book kind of way. So I think visually that would be cool. There's lots of action scenes and huge storms and things like that, natural phenomena happening in that book. So I think that would be a really cool one to make into a movie, just purely for the effects and stuff. Would be awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna just pop in here, say hi to Brad.
Hi, Brad.
He's snuck in here. Thanks for coming by. And we've got Jay Maddox. Hey, Jay, thanks for coming into here.
Hey, party people, love it.
Yeah, that's right. They actually just said, we usually always are in each other's live shows, and they actually just finished up a live show that they were having, and I poked into theirs for a little bit before we had ours, and I'm like, I got it ready,
cool.
guys. So it's nice because now they're coming over here.
Yeah.
Sorry, just reading through these comments. Well, that's really exciting. Well, Netflix, if you're listening, maybe a movie, or if not, maybe a TV series, something,
I'd be down for it. It'd be cool.
Yeah, that's right. If you could pick for any of your books, could you pick any characters that you would want to be played by a certain cast member? Is there a certain,
Actually, it's funny that you asked that, because when I was writing Fate's Fury, I was looking at, there's a number of gods in the book, and I was looking at Zeus. So he's kind of the lead of the gods. I've got gods from 4 ancient pantheons that have formed an alliance, and Zeus kind of heads it. And I thought, well, I don't want to do the stereotypical old man that's very overbearing, and I wanted something a little bit different and fresh and modern. And so I was thinking, who would be someone that would play a modern Zeus, but someone that could pull it off, but also be a little bit psychotic. And I don't know if you've heard of the Australian actor Eric Bana.
Yes. Yeah.
But him. So straight off the bat, Zeus was Eric Bana, pictured the whole way through, because he does great crazy eyes if you've ever seen him in some of his movies. He does psychotic really well, but he also does drama very well, and he's got that Mediterranean look with the olive skin and everything. So I was like, he's a perfect modern day Zeus. So yeah, he kind of just got cast into that with that while I was still
Eric,
sort of in the drafting. So yeah, there we have it.
Eric, if you're listening,
please, Eric Bana, yes, read my book.
That's right. It's like Dana says, Netflix is always listening. I agree. I'm always getting suggestions, so maybe they'll hear this, and then maybe they can poke Eric too.
Yes.
And we have hit that hour mark, and I'll be letting Liz go soon because she's just starting her day out there. It's Saturday there. She's way ahead in the future, so I don't want to keep her forever. But I do have a question here from Spooky Noodles that's asking, who are some of your non-author inspirations?
That's a good question. Actually inspired by a lot of musicians. I'm a massive music nerd. So people like David Bowie, always loved David Bowie, and inspired by artists as well. I'm a big art person. I loved the Expressionism movement, so like Edvard Munch, and like Picasso and Salvador Dali is like my all-time favorite, because they're all like surrealism's all kind of quite twisted and dark in itself. So I find inspiration in those things as well. Yes, Bowie forever.
Yeah. We got some Bowie fads.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
you guys are awesome.
It sounds like you just all around, you're incredibly creative, whether it's, the music, the knitting, art, writing. Yeah. Is there anybody else in your family that's creative and artistic like you are, or any other writers in the family?
They're all sporty. So my siblings are like super sporty and super fit. One of my sisters does a little bit of writing as well, but yeah, I'm definitely the sort of the black sheep creatively, I think. And that kind of blows me away a little bit, because my mum's like, I don't know where you get it from, because it's not from me. So yeah.
You're your own. You're one of a kind. You're a gem.
Oh, thank you.
Well, perfect. If there's no other questions in the comments, and you guys, thanks for coming and hanging out with us and asking awesome questions as well.
It's nice to meet you all.
Yeah. All of these people are fantastic. We've got fellow authors in here, like Spooky Noodles. Nick, he's an author. Rob Shepard, he's also an author. Josh was in here as well. He's an author. So it's really neat to see. We've got, speaking of authors, we've got Deep Arya, who is an Australian author.
Hi.
Who just popped in. And perfect. He's got a question for you here. And if anybody else, if you have a question, make sure you sneak it in there quick so we don't keep Liz forever. Sorry, do you cater your writing to a target audience, or do you write for yourself?
Excellent question, and it's probably a detriment to myself, but I write to myself and not to a target audience. I just feel that if I was to write to a target audience, then I might sort of become stale as a writer and not enjoy it so much. And I enjoy writing because it's getting the ideas out of my head. So I do find it a bit of a challenge, especially when it comes to marketing, when you're writing a darker sort of book, especially horror. It tends to be a bit more niche as opposed to like romance novels. I suppose are probably a lot easier to market in high fantasy. So like I said, it might be a detriment to myself that I write to myself, but that's where I'm happy. So hopefully that it'll, work out in the long run, but I just can't see myself writing to market. I think that would make me feel too corporate again, and that's what I escaped. So
you've escaped that. You're into your own world. I think that's, what works for you is what works for you. Absolutely. Perfect. I don't have any other questions that have popped up since then. So thank you, Deep, as well, for coming and hanging out. I think that's really exciting. Because like I said, he's also from Australia, which is, you guys, I just love your guys' accents. I tell you, Australia.
I don't know what you're talking about. I sound perfectly normal.
Yeah, that's right. You honestly, Australia is like the top of my list for my bucket list to travel someday at some
Please
point.
do.
It's
I'll take you out for a drink, show you around.
I am so there for that. That would be so much fun. But I would just get wrapped up, and I would be trying to leave with your guys' accent, and I know I would completely butcher
I'll
it.
teach you all the slang, all the lingo.
Yeah.
You'll go back at Aussie perfect.
Yeah, that's right. People will be asking me what's going on with you, and I'd be like, listen, I know where I'm moving.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Liz, so much for coming and hanging out with us today and getting
Thank
to
you
know
for
more about
having
you
me.
and your work. Yeah, he says that you're sexy with your accents. Yeah, I agree. They are sexy accents. I mean, you can't deny that. And then, of course, with your guys' beautiful skin, because you have all the beautiful sun, and
Not that I
I'm
see a lot of it. I
jealous.
spend my life at my desk, so.
That's true. That's true, because you're busy writing for all of us bookworms out there, I tell you. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, anybody that hasn't read any of Liz's work, please go and check it out. I will have all of her information, all of her links down in the description. I'll make sure I pop in here after the live so you can go and find her on her socials and
Yes,
spread
please
all the
do.
love her way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Pick up some of her work. If anyone's interested in doing some buddy reads with me, I love getting to do that. And maybe we can pick up some of Liz's work and read it together and discuss and gush all over about it, because that would be exciting.
I always like to hear what people think, so drop me a line.
Oh, absolutely. Book Blather, thank you for coming in. We're just getting, oh, he was here. I didn't even know you were here. He was saying,
Me
thanks,
either.
ladies. Here, I thought that he was saying hi, and I'm like, you just missed everything. We're leaving. But thank you so much. It was a pleasure getting to speak with you and getting to know you, your work, and to add to my list to go and pick up. And you're just a delight to have. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
And you are hilarious. You had me giggling all. And
no, I had an absolute blast.
Oh, good. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. We're going to finish up our Friday over here.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sure most of us are probably going to crawl into bed.
Yeah.
And thank you. And everyone that came by and chat with us, thank you. Anybody that comes to watch a show after the fact, thank you. And yeah, go into the description, find Liz, go and follow her on all of her socials, go pick up some of her work. And that's it for today. Thank you guys for coming by.
Bye.
Bye.